Ooh, what's happening, guys? Welcome to another eclectic edition of PWT Podcast. Yeah. I am your host, the infallible Phil Marks. Joining me today, Crossman Wrestling. Where is it, Crossman? No, it's that's an inside joke.
Crossman.
I know, but I know. Super duper Crossman is here, joining me today. And round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Crossman Wrestling.
Thank you.
UK. Back again, man. It's so good to have you back. And Crossman, how you been doing, man?
Oh man, well it's hard to keep up with everything that's going on at the minute, man. I'm trying to keep up with what's going on in wrestling so I can get my videos out, but at the same time, I'm trying to also keep on top of what's going on in politics, and I'm also trying to look after my family. So things are a little bit hectic at the minute. I've been trying to put out as many videos as I can, but it's hard at the minute. The last video I did, as you can see there, I think it's the Bobby Lashley one 5 days ago. That's long for me. But I'm gonna try and do one either today or tomorrow, just covering what's been going on last week. But how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking. I've just been keeping busy, doing a lot of crazy podcasts, lining up a lot of amazing guests, and we kind of last minute pulled it off. We've been trying to link up for a minute again since the last one, and I'm just glad we got to do it. And I love seeing whenever you drop videos, and you did take a bit of a hiatus there as well, and then you came back. And you came back swinging. Good to see you back. I know you're saying 5 days, but damn, man, some people only upload once every 2 weeks or something. So you're still doing the dang thing. And before we get into stuff, where can people follow you on X again? Like it's at Crossman.
At the Crossman 25. THE Crossman 25.
And so make sure you guys check out the channel. So how are things as far as wrestling? I know you're saying like things are a little, crazy in your region, if you will. I don't know what happened.
Oh yeah. Things are really bad over here at the minute.
Yeah, and so like keeping up with wrestling might not be your top priority, right? But what have you been I know you didn't have any interest in Crown Jewel, so it's like, what have you been keeping up with? Has anything piqued your interest? What do you look forward to, if anything, right now in wrestling, whether it be WWE, AEW?
Well, I'm certainly not looking forward to anything AEW, but WWE is a different story. I'm looking forward to Survivor Series, man. We've got Bloodline versus Bloodline.
Yes.
We've got the match I want. We've got Sami Zayn thrown in there now, so that's going to be good. It's going to be the OG Bloodline without Solo versus Solo's new Bloodline. I do feel like Solo's Bloodline is lacking star power, if you know what I mean, because the Tongas haven't been. I don't know if they've been very well presented since joining WWE. We've got Jacob. Jacob's great. Apart from what came out about him yesterday, that's not great. And Solo just loses all the time, man. So I'm struggling to invest myself into that team, but I'm happy that we've got Roman, the Usos, and Sami back together, and I look forward to seeing them.
Well, I'm happy you brought up, what came out about Jacob, because I had that tucked away in what is known as Phil Marks bookmarks. And I don't know if you've ever delved into Phil Marks bookmarks with me, but it can be a scary place. Sometimes it can be a fun place. It can be a happy place. But today it's not such a good place, I guess, or yesterday rather, for one Jacob Fatu that you just brought up. And, Jacob, people say, his past came back to haunt him a little bit. And this is one of the many reasons why, WWE were iffy about hiring him in the first place. And, some company called Jake's Network, or it's like a non-profit organization, they came out and said, Jacob's a tremendous wrestler. They put on this event. They hired him for like $2,600 to come do the event. He said he had a family emergency. And he bailed, and he never gave the money back, and they're like a charity. And Jacob Fatu actually deactivated his Twitter when this news came out, and Sports Illustrated Wrestling here, SI Wrestling, that's what this is, right? Sports Illustrated Wrestling, I'm assuming. They say, update, Jacob Fatu is currently working with Jake's Network of Hope, which is the charity, to resolve this matter. So obviously they're going to pay him back. Who knows? Maybe WWE sends a talent to one of their next for a charity thing, or they just do like a 10G donation or something like that, make it all good. This isn't the worst thing in the world. I mean, people have done, there's like heinous crimes going on all over the world, man. I mean, but at the same time, I mean, yeah, it's kind of shitty of him, but he's got a bunch of kids, man, not to take Heath Slater's fucking gimmick, but he's got kids and he's got mouths to feed, and he was doing his thing. And who knows if a family emergency did come up and it's a charity, but I don't think he's like, I'm going to rip off a charity. I just think at that time in his life, he was probably doing what he had to do to live. Crossman, what's your assessment of this, and how do you feel about this whole situation?
My assessment, man, is no matter what, you shouldn't rip off a charity. And if you have and you can't give the money back, man, you need to at least communicate. And he hasn't done that, allegedly.
Yeah.
He hasn't done that. He hasn't spoken at all, has he? He just deactivated and then reactivated. And then he's not said anything else, has he?
No, I don't think. Did he reactivate his Twitter as well?
I believe so.
Damn. So he must have just like talked to Triple H and they're like, yeah, it's okay, we'll pay the fine for you. So yeah, I don't know. Jacob Fatu is an in-ring performer, I think is phenomenal, and I'm excited. I'm glad you said it. War Games is in Canada, in Vancouver. I'm excited. The double ring, the cage, Bloodline versus Bloodline, Floodline as I call them, the faux Bloodline, right? The Floodline.
Oh yeah.
So we got OG Bloodline, Floodline, and then, it seems like Sammy's going to join up. Probably The Rock shows up. No, you got to think he has some, like a video package at least to air at the end of that, or maybe they save it for the Raw after. Who knows? But yeah, I'm very excited for it too. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and a lot of people are saying, "Are you familiar with like Hikuleo and Zilla Fatu and those guys, the younger?"
I've heard the names.
Yeah.
I've never seen them wrestle. I've never seen them talk.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of glad that they're not being shoehorned into this, and they're just really milking the characters that we've already been invested in. And to what you said, I think the Tongans have been booked well. You know what I mean? Like Tongaloa is getting over really well. I mean, pardon me, Tama Tonga is getting over really well. The crowd's all barking with him and stuff like that. But so you said you had no interest in Crown Jewel. I don't know if we were on air or off air when you said that. However, do you know the results of it? Are you like anti the Saudi show? Was it just not a compelling card to you? What about it was a turnoff?
The card was just ass, man. I mean, there's.
I'm an ass man.
You had Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, which I was interested in, and Bronson Reed versus Seth Rollins, which I was interested in. But I do not like Seth Rollins whatsoever, so I'm only interested in one person in that match, and that is really enough for me to sit down and watch a 3-hour PLE when I could be doing something I enjoy, like playing on my PlayStation 2 or something like that.
I've been roasting Seth a little bit online because like his new gear that he wore at Crown Jewel is like the Young Bucks' gear. He's wearing like running shoes with like pants, and he just looks like the older Young Buck.
Yeah,
he needs to go back to
the reason I don't like Seth Rollins, man, and I've said this in plenty of videos. When you have a friend who doesn't like wrestling, but they know you like wrestling, and they sit and they tell you, "Oh, wrestling, that's gay. Wrestling, that's men in tights, fake fighting." They probably have homosexual relations after the show, and because they're trying to really take a piss out of you because you like wrestling and they don't. So you get them to sit down and watch wrestling, and then Seth Rollins comes out dressed. You remember his WrestleMania attire?
Yeah.
His entrance attire, man. He destroys your entire argument just because he's trying to make a statement of some sort, and I can't stand him.
That's fair. See, I don't get that. I've always looked at wrestling as like ultra colorful dude. I just look at him as like a more like flamboyant macho man type guy. But at the same time, I get where some people might be like, "Oh, come on, Phil, you can't." It's not Seth Rollins ain't macho man. That's not very fair. I could totally see that as well. I don't get that vibe, but I'm also deep in it, So exactly what you said, like the casual mate, if you will, who comes over and is like, "Oh man, you watch this?" I get it. Crown Jewel breaks the all-time viewership record, though. So you weren't watching, but the masses were watching. Okay, and it was announced that the Crown Jewel event saw a 28% viewership increase versus 2023. I don't know, obviously a big success. And WWE made it clear they're going to keep doing these shows moving forward with the Saudis and all of that. And I just think it's a big plus. Like Raw emanated from there. I think SmackDown's taped there too. And we're seeing like the first ever women's promo, the first ever women's like storyline, whatever. They had a women's battle royal in a country where like I don't even think women are allowed to drive. At least WWE and pro wrestling is getting women on billboards and featuring them, because there might be like a generation of kids who grow up seeing that, and then their minds might change, and then it could, I don't know, strike change in the world. Now, who knows? I'm not playing Nostradamus or saying, you know, WWE is changing the world for the better, pal, and making a better tomorrow. You know, obviously it's money is what their focus is, but at the same time, it's like these tiny steps. What do they say? One small step for man, one giant step for mankind. So I could see it in that way as well. So I don't get triggered by the Saudi shows, but for you, does any of that turn you off? Like, oh, they're in Saudi Arabia. That's not politically correct. And what is this dumb diamond belt? Like, does that shit get to you? Or
I really don't care about political correctness. I do a little bit to an extent. For an example, I don't like the N word.
yeah,
There's certain words I don't like because they're just ugly words.
yeah.
But when it comes to political correctness overall, I really don't care for it because it's been beaten into society and made society crazy. But when it comes to what you said with the first ever women's everything in Saudi Arabia, I like that you have hope that it will change something. But I can assure you now, with the way that the people over there work in all of these countries that have a certain religion, they will not change their ways whatsoever at all. 100%, you will not change their mind at all.
At Rhodes Coda Era put this out. So Karl Anderson has confirmed that he will be out until after WrestleMania 41 after undergoing successful surgery. So Karl Anderson out with the surgery, low key. Are you a fan of the Good Brothers at all?
So I remember back in 2016, when I started watching WWE again after a break for a few years, and it was just around the time, or no, not long after is when AJ Styles debuted, and then those two came around. I think it was the Raw after WrestleMania, or it might have been just after that. I'm not sure, but I created them in the game because they weren't in the game,
Yeah.
and I made them the Bullet Club because I was a bit of a fake mark. You know, like the people that when MJF says that he doesn't pretend to watch New Japan, like I was the kind of wrestling fan that would say, "Oh, New Japan," but never watch it. But I take those two, and I eventually split them up and made Karl Anderson a singles because for some reason I had the urge to make him a singles guy. I can't remember if I made him the Intercontinental Champion, but that was a plan at one point. Now, they've been used very, very, very badly to the point where I really don't care about them anymore. And it's not their fault. It's the way that they was used by Vince and Triple H.
Yeah, well, Karl Anderson has been in NXT. He's putting over younger teams, and he's in like the best shape of his life. He's shreddy, like shreddies, dude. But he's just putting over like Axiom and Nathan Frazier. You know what I mean? So it is, and not hating on those guys, but his job now is just collect a check, stay in good shape. I guess get this surgery. Thank God it's okay. He kept it quiet. And yeah, I'm big fans of the Good Brothers and the Bullet Club and AJ Styles and all that shit too. But yeah, they've definitely, I would love to see them on the main roster, but I think maybe WWE looks at them like their time is sort of come and gone. And hey, they're cool, man. They're cool to collect a check. If you listen to their podcast, I don't even know if they still do it, but it was like Talking Shop Wrestling or something. I can't remember, but
yeah, I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, so I'd watch it. They had like they'd even put on like silly wrestling events and stuff. But yeah, Karl Anderson is down to, I think, just grab a check, help these tag teams get better in the ring, and that's cool with me. But yeah, I'm glad he's healthy and whatnot. So this I found incredibly interesting here. So, and I think everybody did, but I find it interesting for a different reason that nobody's really bringing up. So typically around like the road to WrestleMania and around like No Way Out, it would always be like the Rumble, then No Way Out, then Mania, at least like in the 2000s and stuff, like early 2000s. And they would always run like smaller towns and sort of like smaller shows so that the wrestlers wouldn't get hurt leading up to WrestleMania. At least that's the way I interpreted it. You know, they wouldn't run like the bigger cities or put on these like big spectacles, I guess, if you will, on the quote unquote road to WrestleMania tour. I'm thinking it's going to be more or less the same because they're talking about cutting back on house shows. So I'm like, okay, maybe WWE is going to go to these smaller towns and stuff like right before Mania, you know, preserve their talent, just get through Mania healthy, all that. Nah, dude. They're coming through, I'm assuming your neck of the woods, but all over Europe. So WWE announced an 11-city tour of Europe and the UK on the road to WrestleMania. For the first time ever, consecutive episodes of Raw, SmackDown will emanate from different cities across the UK and Europe over 3 weeks in March. Here's the schedule. Crossman, I want your thoughts on this, but first, I just want to say this, dude. How smart is it that on the road to Mania, right before Mania, you do like a world tour, attract those like maybe last minute tourists who are going to come to Vegas. Not that they weren't going to not come already. You know what I'm saying? But these crowds are going to be so fucking hot and it's going to make WrestleMania feel like we will all not be able to wait for it. Like, look how hot these crowds have been. It won't be like, oh, they're in Puerto Rico for Backlash and the SmackDown before that crowd's insane. It's going to be like a series of crazy crowds, like a month of crazy ass crowds leading up to Mania. It'll just make it feel so hot going into 41, like maybe even hotter than last year. Your thoughts on this, and will you be going out of your way to try and get to any of these shows?
Originally, I was thinking it was a bit of a strange idea because you're putting all these guys through lots of travel around the time of WrestleMania, and then potentially getting hurt. But now that you've mentioned about the crowds,
Yeah.
yeah, it's certainly a smart idea to get them loud crowds right before WrestleMania because it's going to get people pumped. I understand that. But as for going to shows, no, unfortunately, I will not be attending any of these shows, man. It's just I don't drive. First of all, my missus does, and she can't really pick me up from, say, I don't know, Nottingham at 11 o'clock at night. And I don't like staying in hotels. So unfortunately, I won't be attending a show, but I will be happy to watch them earlier.
Yeah, I'm excited for these, man. I like when WWE can get out there and travel around, and the crowds are just insane. And I wanted to ask you about that too. So I'm sure you've seen since the last time we talked, All In went down in the UK again, and the attendance and the hype around it and the card was what it was. I mean, let's be honest. And then Tony all of a sudden sort of hits the panic button and he goes, "Oh man, I got to get to Australia and Texas, and I just got to announce these things now because I don't know how much longer this shit's going to last." And then you see the mayor of London, and he comes out and he's like, "Yeah, we promised to bring WrestleMania here," basically, right? He's like, "We're going to bring WrestleMania here." And they'll bid on WrestleMania, unlike AEW that pays to put on All In. And then the news breaks recently, not too long ago, that the mayor's like, "We're gonna have the Super Bowl," and then Dave Meltzer's dumbass comes out and goes, "Yeah, the WWE WrestleMania isn't a priority anymore for London. Now they want the Super Bowl." But everyone's sitting here thinking like, the two aren't mutually exclusive. Like they could have both. It's like a huge tourist destination and stuff like that. What are your thoughts? That's from your neck in the woods. You know what I mean? At least you're part of the globe. Any hot takes on that?
I mean, I've got hot takes, but they're not wrestling related. I mean, the mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, he needs to focus on other things that aren't wrestling because London is not a good place, man. Right now, London's not a good place, and it's his fault. London's not a good place. So if I'm going to be honest, man, I would rather not have WrestleMania over here, have everything fixed first, then focus on big events because the way things are, man, over here, they're not good. And our politicians shouldn't be focusing on, yeah, let's get this big event because it's just going to attract more crime, more knife crime, more assaults, everything like that, because that's how bad things are at the minute. So when it comes to that, it'd be nice to have a WrestleMania in London, but I'd prefer the country to be fixed first.
So let's say, they bring a WrestleMania there. Like, let's say I'm a tourist, I go to WrestleMania. Is it like a dangerous situation, like the state that London's in and all of that? Like, where would you like rate it, I guess, or how would you describe it, I guess?
So I think you'd be safe because you're not white British or female.
Yeah.
So I think you'd be safe. But anyone coming over that's female certainly needs to be aware of her surroundings at all times. But the common white British man should certainly be concerned for their safety. And any woman that comes over should be concerned for their safety. But I think you'd be fine in case you come across a gang of ruffians that want to rob your stuff.
Yeah.
There's a chance of that.
So what about like everywhere else though, like Austria and shit? I'm not saying I'm not saying you've been there or anything, but they'd be all good there, no?
So Spain's very bad. I know Spain's very bad. Spain's pretty much as bad as us. France is very bad. Germany and Poland, I think they've got things under control. Everywhere else is bad.
Oh damn! So like Scotland and Northern Ireland and shit, are they going through it?
Oh yeah, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales, Ireland. Ireland's worse than us right now. Ireland is on fire. France is on fire.
Yeah.
Everywhere's on fire, man. It's ridiculous. It's Spain. It's not a good place to go, man.
Okay, this has been a Europe Education Minute with PWT. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, dude. Tour of Europe with Crossman Wrestling. But yeah, I guess shout out for WWE. Everyone stay safe if you're traveling around there, I guess.
I'd much prefer them to just fix the country instead of focus on WrestleMania and Super Bowl. I mean, it doesn't fix anything.
Because is that your guys' like, let's say they bid on WrestleMania, is that y'all's like tax money they're using to, or what is it?
I'd imagine so, yes.
Yeah, I mean, damn. So then, and it's an event
with,
that you gotta go spend more money on to where they tax you more, because it's like that in Canada.
Well, with the new budget, because obviously we had a new government in July, they released the budget. I think it was last week, and they are taxing the shit out of people. Farmers are going to be destroyed. Everyone's going to be destroyed.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't in the world, man.
Yep.
What is even the world, bro? No, but ringside news, in further WWE news, they're asking, do you miss Samantha Irvin as WWE Raw's ring announcer? And she provides context to the news that broke that she said, I was crying while I wrote my resignation. And this is after a week of her basically being like, I was unhappy in WWE and I didn't even want to, like, I really just want to be a singer and stuff, or I wanted to be a valet. I didn't even want to be a ring announcer and stuff. I don't know. She had to say that WWE changed my life. One day I will address everything in a way where hopefully people can feel my heart and where I'm coming from. It was never my intention to hurt anyone by expressing that I didn't like announcing. It is so much more nuanced than that. I love performing. I love emoting. I loved contributing to the shows that I have loved since the first episodes. I'm sad that my official statement that I cried writing is now mostly ignored, but my addressing a hater comment was taken out of context and shared as my final statement to the entire WWE universe. Lesson learned. And basically, I don't know if you've been following this. Well, first off, what are your thoughts on Samantha Irvin? Like, were you a fan of her, and did it upset you when she suddenly left WWE?
Well, I mean, she's a great announcer. And I was pretty shocked when I saw her statement. I thought, really? I mean, what's going on? Why? I had a feeling it was something to do with Ricochet. Now, obviously, it might be, it might not be. We don't know. It's not our. I mean, it's none of our business, really. But I mean, WWE can do without her. Even though she is a great ring announcer, WWE can go without. It's not really going to change much. Because we got Lillian. Lillian's going to botch a few things. It's going to be fine. But yeah, I was a fan. But at the same time, she's a ring announcer, and the ring announcers overall aren't supposed to be an important figure to an extent. They're supposed to just be there. They're supposed to add to the match, but in reality, they're not supposed to be in your face. They're not supposed to do. I mean, certain things. I mean, she was great at what she did. The crying while announcing Cody Rhodes was the winner of WrestleMania. That was great. I know some people didn't like that, but I liked it. I thought it added very well. But is WWE going to hurt without a no?
What do you think about Ricochet leaving to AEW? And were you a fan of his? And just sort of your thoughts on Ricochet as well. And I'm going to tie this into a bow because this all connects to what we were just talking about a moment ago. But yeah, your thoughts on Ricochet.
Yeah, so I thought Ricochet could have been something in WWE to an extent. My idea was for him to turn heel and show some character because that's what he was missing. That's why he was being held back because he didn't have a character. He was just flippy Ricochet, and that can only take you so far. Instead of doing that, he decided to leave and go to AEW and be flippy Ricochet to a lot less people for a little bit more money. And now he's got the freedom to clap back at fans, which is something he certainly shouldn't be doing because it's harming him tremendously. Every time I see a tweet from Ricochet that's going after a fan, and it's, I don't know, if they've critiqued him in a nice way and he's decided to shit on them, then yeah, I mean that's my respect for Ricochet gone down even more. But I was never really a massive fan of Ricochet. I wanted to see what he could do, what he can prove. Obviously, he can wrestle when he's got the people to tell him to not do certain things. But right now in AEW, he's gone straight back to let's perform and get a big pop instead of working a wrestling match. It doesn't look like that he's even trying to defeat his opponent most of the time.
He just debuted in New Japan. He got a big pop, and it seems as though he's going to be kind of heelish. I guess he attacked Zack Sabre Jr. or something, but maybe he's best suited out there. Either way, to tie it all together, you know, he's been kind of very cringe on social media. He's been telling fans people are hating on him too. They're coming at him out of pocket, but I mean, goddamn, you got to ignore that stuff, man. You cannot respond to us marks. Don't sell us. We're fucking marks, dude. But these people are talking shit to him, and then he's, you know, it escalates so quick. He's like, suck my dick, or and then Samantha's piping back and telling people shut the fuck up, and not like they don't have a right to do that. I do that. Samantha said, my husband's a millionaire and he doesn't care about being famous and shit. So like, why the fuck is he arguing with Marks? You know, I argue with Marks. I said it. I got 2,000 followers. I'm trying to build some shit here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to get mine, dude, right? Ricochet, he should be ignoring that, but also like he should also do whatever the fuck he wants. But at the same time, Ricochet and Samantha, they have both turned everyone off of them, it seems, overnight. And it's not just the, oh, Ricochet went to AEW thing. Because like I can look past that. The accounts that are just there to hate on everything AEW, I can look past their criticisms and my own criticisms maybe of him going to AEW. It just seems the public perception now of the way they all of a sudden leave WWE and then they just start unleashing on people on Twitter, and it's just turned people off of them. What do you think of some wrestlers just getting free from WWE and then I guess showing their real selves, and then people realizing like, oh, I don't really fuck with this person, or them sort of having this like chip on their shoulders, like, yeah, now I'm going to let all these marks know what the fuck I think about them, basically. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it can certainly turn people off. I mean, we'll take Dijak for an example. Now, I don't know what Dijak has been saying to fans. I don't know if he's been clapping back at people. But one thing I did hear about Dijak, and I can believe it, is that he's a Fightful informant. And that turned me off Dijak immediately. And I was actually a fan of Dijak. I was hoping, right, he's been drafted to Raw. Let's see if he can do something. Let's see if he'll be used because he's a big guy. He can do a lot of stuff. He can talk. And then it turns out, no, it's not working for Dijak. And then you see him being pally-pally with Sean Ross Sapp in comments. And it all adds up. When you do certain things online, it does certainly turn people off you, depending what you do, especially if you decide to endorse certain political figures. That's been a big one recently.
And the whole world's about to melt down at the time of recording this. I think the U.S. election is going to be determined today. But maybe this will come out tomorrow morning. Time Cop, my favorite movie. But yeah, so shout out Samantha and Ricochet. I hope they do well. Do you think Samantha shows up in AEW?
There's a chance. Originally, I thought no, because it seemed like she wanted to continue a singing career. But when I found out that she wanted to be a manager or a general manager, that's when I thought, right, maybe she will go to AEW and manage Ricochet, but that isn't going to work if Ricochet's a babyface. If Ricochet's a babyface, Samantha being his manager isn't going to work. If he's a heel, absolutely, 100% go for it. Obviously, she could be a ring announcer, but obviously she doesn't want to do that. Being a general manager, I don't see that working whatsoever.
Well, here's the thing. She said that, some people in life, she tweeted this to someone. She's like, some people in life don't care about being famous. They just want to whatever. And then, yeah, she's like, my husband's a millionaire. He doesn't, he'd rather do whatever he loves and be a millionaire and not be famous than whatever. So I thought to myself, okay, she wants to be a GM. She wants to be a valet. She wants to have a singing career. She wants to make lots of money, but she doesn't want to be famous. Where can you go and do that? AEW. Literally, dude, you're not going to get famous. You're going to get rich.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, as Dave Meltzer would tell you. Tony Khan. How many people there have singing music careers? Swerve, Max Caster, Austin Gunn, Jericho, which allegedly is Tony funds Fozzie's tours and shit.
Austin Gunn?
Yeah, Austin Gunn's a rapper. He raps.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys. The Blade, or whatever, the Butcher, whichever one. Brody King's in a band. Now, provided some of these bands were already things before AEW, but all of these people, Layla Gray is in AEW. She makes music. Leo Rush makes music. He's in AEW. So I could go on for days. I'm sure there's a bunch I'm forgetting, but Jeff Jarrett made music in the in the 90s. I don't know. But all I'm saying is, yeah, she's going to go there, sing, and just corner Ricochet, maybe cut promos for him because his ass can't talk that good. Just being honest. And yeah. Anyways, though, his contract ends next month. I was tagged in this. Contract expected to expire in December 2024. And this is for Montez Ford of the Street Profits. And I just tweeted, maybe they should go to the alternative AEW in response to Wrestling Observer that said Montez Ford voices frustration over the Street Profits stop and go momentum. So I guess his contract's up next month. I think they're working the gimmick. They're going to break up. However, I was being entirely sarcastic when I tweeted maybe they should go to the alternative AEW because the alternative of AEW has become the Hurt Business, and it's literally just all ex-WWE guys. So I was being a schmarmy asshole here, but this guy was like, dude, their shit expires next month. So I'm not saying, the Street Profits to AEW or anything like that. I think Montez is now voicing stuff in these interviews because WWE is doing a great job of like working smart marks with social media and stuff like that over the last year, especially since Triple H has been in charge, especially. And so this is like the second time Montez has said some shit like this. I think they're gearing him up to break off and do his own thing. Angelo Dawkins tweeted out today as well, like, I'm tired of the disrespect or something, his tag partner. So your thoughts on the Street Profits, and do you see it in Montez Ford, man? Like, do you think if they split them up, he's a guy who can go off solo dolo and do his own thing and be successful? Some people say they see like shades of the Rock in him. I wouldn't go that far, but I think he's a really good talent. What do you think, Crossman?
I definitely don't see the Rock, but I believe he can do stuff by himself. I believe he could go for a singles run and possibly be successful. The only issue I have with Montez is when he's talking, man. He comes across very annoying. He comes across. I don't know if it's just me, but he comes across like a KSI, like a loud YouTuber. When he talks, when I've seen him talk, I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if you get that. But I think he needs to change that up a bit. And Angelo Dawkins, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything about him that can be used as a single, but as a team, the Street Profits is done, in my opinion, as a team. I think there's no more they can do. They need to split up and they need to do their own thing.
So, were you made aware of the releases that were made? Tegan Knox, Indy Hartwell, Baron Corbin. Give me your thoughts on those releases. Were you shocked by any of those, or were you just like, whatever?
Well, I've never had any interest in Tegan Knox or Indy Hartwell. However, Baron Corbin, I was thinking to myself, I think it was last week or the week before when I was playing 2K24 because Baron Corbin's in that, and I used Baron Corbin. And I was thinking, I wonder if he's going to get released at some point. No, he won't get released. He's Baron Corbin. He's there for life. And he gets released.
Yeah.
And I'm not happy about that, man, because even though Baron Corbin has annoyed people over the years with the characters he's played, Constable Corbin to be a prime example of that, when he was, the few bits I saw of him in NXT actually told me, hey, this guy can actually be something other than an annoying heel. He can do stuff. The stuff he was doing with Bron Breakker, wow, he can actually do something that can make me interested in him. And then when he gets called up to SmackDown, they don't do anything with him. They put him in a tag team with Apollo Crews, and then he's released. And I'm not happy about that, but it is what it is. Life moves on.
So Baron Corbin believes, and this is Cultaholic. Are you a fan of Cultaholic or what?
No, I made a video about them a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah? What did you have to say about them?
Oh, I can't remember what they did. What did they do? Oh, they used Wrestle Purist as a source for their thumbnail and title. Like, when you're a news channel and you're doing your thumbnail and your title, if there's two people you don't use for that, it is Dave Meltzer and someone like Wrestle Purist. You can do it for Fightful if you want. You can do it for Wrestle Votes. You can do it for PW Insider, whoever else. But Dave Meltzer, Wrestle Purist, and any other of these.
Elboo of Wrestle Purist. I call him Elboo.
Elboo.
Yeah, his name's Ebu, but I call him Elboo because, yeah, he's fucking always holding L's, dude. Cultaholic, who's all on that one? Is that like Jack the Jobber and shit?
Yeah, you've got Jack. I don't think they can use their names anymore. I think they was owned by What Culture. But you've got Jack. I can't remember the last name of. You've got Ross, who used to be King Ross. I think his last name's Waddell. He obviously he's a funny guy, but when I see him online, he comes across as a little prick. You've got Tom. He's a likable guy. He's never really done anything wrong to me. You got Adam, not Bompier.
Bompier got to keep his gimmick of being a fucking creep.
I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to comment on that one because I've made many mistakes when it comes to covering Adam's recent allegations.
I'm just teasing. People gave me shit for his last stuff. They're like, "Oh no, he was wrongfully." I'm like, "Look, dude, I'm making jokes. I'm just making jokes."
This is really bugging me now. What's that? What's the other Adam's last name? Because
Adam, whatever the fuck. I know who you're talking about, though. I do remember, but yeah, it's the other Adam, like Adam, whatever. Did
you know that Adam was once on the news saying he was searching for his girlfriend he found in a dream? I'm being serious. I've seen the news. I've seen it. It was. He was on the news searching for a girl that he met in his dream. I thought it was fake at first, but it was definitely real.
Was he trolling?
I can't remember how long ago it was.
Was he trolling?
No, it was legitimately on the news. I can't remember how long ago it was I saw it. I think he had a picture that he'd drawn or something. I'm not sure. And he was looking for the girl of his dreams that he met in his dream.
If someone in the PWT universe can find that clip, tag me and Crossman Wrestling. That's for goddamn sure. Okay, it was announced on Friday that WWE would not be renewing Baron Corbin's expiring deal. This is per Cultaholic here, along with the revealed releases of both Indy and Tegan. Talked about that. In an Instagram post, Baron Corbin liked a comment. And he said, I appreciate that, and I feel the same when somebody said, oh, WWE fumbled you, bro. So I guess Corbin agrees that WWE fumbled
I agree.
You do?
I agree that WWE fumbled him.
Fair enough. Breaking. Goldberg announced that his retirement match will take place next year in 2025. Let's watch this clip, and then I want your thoughts just on Goldberg in general, and then We'll fantasy Mark book his retirement match here, but yeah, let's watch this. Now, please don't Don Stevens me WWE or NFL or SEC Nation, whatever. I'm gonna try it. We're gonna transform it enough where YouTube's gonna love it, and otherwise, check me out on Patreon.
Saw you, Bill, go back and forth at a WWE event last month in Atlanta. Any chance of the last match?
I wanted to be there with my family and relax and have a good time. But you know what? Here's the deal. And here's the news of the day. The news of the day is per 3 executives, Nick Khan, Chris.
Per 3 executives, and he's reading their names. Like, is this how we announce you're coming back for a match? Per 3 executives, Nick Khan, this guy. What? It just seems crazy. Like, per them, or you just say, yeah, I'm coming back for my last WWE match. Like, it wouldn't. Is he trying to make it like a shoot? I don't understand. But here, anyways, we'll continue this.
Legento and Paul Levesque in 2025. Goldberg's having his retirement. Let's go! So
Come on!
I think we know who the subject or the victim, probably the
So he's going to fight Gunther. He pretty much stooges it right there. Fair enough. He'll put Gunther over. I love Gunther. He's one of my favorites. To me, though, I would, if I'm WWE, I'm making Goldberg fight John Cena in his last match and having John Cena beat him. Now, I know some people might say, oh, come on now, Phil. Why would you have Goldberg lose to Cena? And the reason is because, like, Cena is going to lose to someone, and it could be Gunther, and then, Cena collects Goldberg's soul, and then Gunther collects them both. Ultimately, in the end, is how you look at it. Some people, I guess, aren't into that. They just want to see Goldberg like no sell Gunther shit and not eat his chops and have Gunther not be able to do him with power bombs and shit the way he does guys. I guess that's the match they want to see. I'd rather see 2 larger than life mega superstars, Cena, Goldberg, like 2 guys you never thought would ever cross paths, fight, and then Cena beats him, and then Cena goes on and can lose to Gunther because he'd actually have a solid match with Gunther. I feel like even now, that's my fantasy Mark booking. I'll give myself an X-Files for that. Crossman, what do you think about Goldberg in general, and who would you have him face in his retirement? And are you even interested in a Goldberg retirement? Just give me your overall thoughts, man. Floor is yours.
I'm honestly not that interested in a Goldberg retirement match, but I see it doing something good, possibly, depending how the match goes, because we've seen a couple of things with Goldberg. When he faced The Undertaker, that wasn't good at all. And I don't see. I see where you're coming from with Goldberg and Cena, but I think that match would be an absolute disaster. Because Cena's not wrestled for about a year now. Goldberg hasn't wrestled since 2022, I believe. So I could see that match being, even if Cena gets, he gets a little bit more steady in ring because he's not wrestled for a while. I could see that match being a Goldberg Undertaker type disaster. As big a match it'd be, I don't see it ending well. But with Goldberg versus Gunther, I'd be interested to see how that go. I would be very interested to see how that would go in a Triple H WWE, because in Vince's WWE, Goldberg would spear, jackhammer, pin Kevin Owens, Bray Wyatt, and we'd all be very angry and wanting retribution for those wrestlers. I was really pissed off when he beat Bray. Really pissed off. It made me so angry. I wanted to stop watching wrestling for a while. But Vince isn't there anymore. Goldberg's not going to bury anyone. Goldberg's not going to win a world championship. I'm going to give it a chance and see how it goes with one more match for Goldberg.
Okay, so just to sort of rebut what you were saying, I think John, because he's going to have like a couple reps under his belt, because 2025 is his last year, January to fucking December 2025, so it doesn't like end at Mania for Cena, so he could get Goldberg anywhere in 2025. John could get a couple matches under his belt, and I think he could carry Goldberg through like a pretty decent, solid match. I do think John has the capability, because we just saw in his last run when he came back, he carried Solo through some matches and shit. I think he did good work, but if it was a disaster like Undertaker Goldberg, I don't know. I think John would be able to keep it together. However, we're just both speculating. However, with Gunther, like, do you see Gunther hitting his power bomb on Goldberg and chopping the shit out of Goldberg, and Goldberg going out like that? Goldberg, his whole career, think about his whole career. His last match is going to be Gunther just chopping the shit out of him and stuff. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a freak show, spear, jackhammer, whatever. Gunther reverses it and gets him in the rear naked choke and just chokes him out. It's not going to be like Gunther's good shit, because he can't do his good shit to Goldberg. But I am curious to see how he makes it work. And I do like the passing of the torch. Like, Goldberg was such a dominant force, so you pass the torch to the new, like, dominant force. Even though Gunther can take an L here and there, he, goes on these long runs where he beats everybody. But do you see where I'm coming from? Like, Goldberg's not going to let Gunther beat the shit out of him like everybody lets Gunther do,
Yeah, I do see where you're coming from, but yeah, I don't know. We'd have to see the match, man. I think a few barricades would go through, maybe an announce table would be put through, and it would be a chaotic match. Boy, it depends. We'd have to see how it'd go.
So yeah, that was WWE news, ladies and gentlemen. WWE news. So, Crossman, I got a few other things that I'd want to run by you quickly, see if you're into it. We talked about before, Ricochet showed up in New Japan, so this was the clip. And he gets a good reaction here, so just to... He almost tripped, but here we go. He got a big reaction, man. AEW, and like he got a bigger reaction than AEW, kind of like when he debuted there. I feel like this was more of like, oh my god, this guy's here. So he should just spend some time in Japan. I think he'd get more over there, and he should just spend less time telling people to suck his dick on Twitter and stuff. However, though, I wanted to bring this to you, bud. Davey Boy Smith Jr., speaking of Japanese wrestling, wins the All Japan Pro Wrestling Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship. How do you feel about that? Are you a Davey Boy Smith Jr. fan? Were you a fan of the British Bulldog and that? Just give me your overall thoughts, I guess, on this moment, because it's a big deal, man. A lot of people were losing their minds over this,
Well, I'm certainly too young to be a fan of the British Bulldog. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But I mean, good for him, I guess. But at the same time, man, I really do not care about anything New Japan or anything like that, man. It just doesn't interest me.
So All Japan's starting to work with WWE. Are you interested in like all of this WWE ID stuff and like their sort of expansion globally and all of that? Or are you just like, fuck it, as long as their main roster?
I am actually interested in WWE ID, yes, and that's because with the WWE way of training, if they're training them to be ready for NXT and things like that, that's better because you're going to get less people doing super flippy stuff. You're going to get less people doing light tubes and glass and things like that. And it's going to be healthier for people. Obviously, it's going to hurt AEW and other indie promotions. But at the same time, I'd rather the wrestlers be healthy and work their way up to the big time rather than settle for, I'm going to work in front of 50 people, but look at me, I can do a few flips. And those people in that crowd of 50 don't really care about the indie wrestler coming out. They care about what that indie wrestler's going to do in an insane spot. I mean, you're going to jump from this structure that's not been built properly because they haven't got the budget to build it properly, or they don't care enough. They jump off the structure into some glass, and they get a holy shit chant, and then that's it. They don't care about you anymore. So I'd rather people get themselves ready to be a professional wrestler rather than a spot monkey.
Fair enough, man. A lot of people share that sentiment. So speaking of like the WWE ID and that, you know, there are lots of crossovers going on. TNA. Are you a TNA fan from back in the day, or?
No, so I remember when I first watched TNA in 2009.
Yeah.
I was 11 years old, and Jeff Hardy had gone from WWE. I didn't know at the time that he'd been fired due to drugs because, I mean, I'm just a kid. I don't know what's going on. I just know he'd left. And I hated CM Punk for that, man. I fucking couldn't stand CM Punk after that for a while. But I saw Jeff Hardy in TNA. And then I thought, okay, I'll give this show a try. I've seen it a few times before, but I'm going to give the show a try now that I see Jeff Hardy in there. Yeah. And I see AJ Styles, and I look at him, and he's next to Ric Flair. He's being managed by Ric Flair at the time, I believe. And I thought, who the fuck are these guys, man? Who's AJ Styles? Who's Samoa Joe? I don't know who these guys are, nor do I care. And I regret that, because now I do know who they are. I know what they're about, and I do care about them. So that's more of my, I don't know, it's like I was indoctrinated into the Vince McMahon WWE way, if you know what I mean, because the TNA production, it was all different. I think Vince Russo was there at that time. And they're going back and watching some TNA stuff now because they post on their YouTube channel, they'll post like a few hours of content.
Yep.
Whether it be the full Aces and Eights story, something to do with Conan and Eddie Kingston.
Yep.
And recently they did something to do with MVP and Bobby Lashley. Now, I notice in a lot of these videos that TNA put out from back in the day that they're filmed like a reality show, like Teen Mom or Dog the Bounty Hunter, right? And I don't know, I think that's Vince Russo because it's filmed and the camera cuts are done in a way where it is like a reality TV show rather than a wrestling show, and that puts me off. Really puts me off, man. I have to be super baked to sit and watch it.
Fair enough, man. So, you know, those crossovers have been happening. The All Japan crossovers, Pro Wrestle Noah in Japan. We've seen WWE, they're crossing over. And by the way, I agree with your assessment on that. And actually, shout out TNA's YouTube, though. Their fucking YouTube's banging, man. I always say it that their YouTube game helped get them fucking hot again all around. That's just my opinion, but either way. Anyways, so JBL, he showed up in TNA. He showed up in fucking CMLL. He's shown up in all these random indies. He shows up at Destiny Wrestling, and he gives Marty Scurll, who I'll get your thoughts on as well. If you notice, I'm keeping it kind of UK themed here. I'm trying my best.
Yeah.
So JBL shows up. I want to watch this clip with you. And this is amazing. I don't know if you're familiar. Are you familiar with JBL just showing up randomly, clotheslining?
I am, yes. I see him come out in his trench coat. Yeah, I see him come out in his trench coat and his cowboy hat, and I feel a little bit of happiness. I feel, wow, it's JBL.
Fuck yeah.
Because I never really got to experience much of JBL because I started watching in 2009.
Favorite. People shit on him versus Eddie Guerrero, man. They're like, oh, it was racially insensitive. Bro, it was... First off, Eddie was his best man at his wedding. They were fucking best friends. And Eddie and JBL, man, they're dynamic. JBL as that his heel run. Oh my God, dude. I fucking love that. I love to hate him. He made me sick when I was a kid. But then when I look back on it, I'm like, that's why I loved him so much. But yeah, it's like you said, man, he shows up with a duster and his cowboy hat, and he's just giving you a little taste. It's like an amalgamation of all of his characters sort of over the years rolled into one, and he just knocks dudes out. We don't know why yet, but there will be a payoff.
I haven't experienced that much of JBL because obviously he was in the games, but I started watching in 2009, which is when he retired. He had that, I think it was, how many 21-second match with Rey Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship. Rey Mysterio was dressed up as the Joker. Yeah. And that's really all I got to see of JBL, apart from a few DVDs I had of some 2008 pay-per-views. I had the Great American Bash, I had Night of Champions, and I had a few DVDs from 2008 that featured JBL on them. But it's nice to see JBL doing stuff again, man. And it'd be nice to see him doing it in WWE, but obviously there's no room for him. I think he's still on a Legends deal, and they're just allowing him to do it anyway, from what I recall. It's nice to see someone come back and do what they want to do again. But if JBL's going for that cowboy character, man, he needs to play some Red Dead Redemption 2. Complete that game a couple of times, and then that will add to his character.
He's like, video games? Fuck that. I'll clothesline ya. You know, and he comes in with this duster, this cowboy hat, and there will be a payoff. JBL ain't just doing this for no reason. He's like whispered things at a couple people. He's shown up in all these different feds, and he is on a Legends deal, and I believe he's also out there scouting, and it's cool to see him give the rub to like Nick Nemeth or a Marty Scurll, I guess, depending how you feel about him. I'm not even overly familiar. What are your thoughts on Marty Scurll, I guess, before we get into this too? So my understanding, he hooked up with a girl who would be underage in like America and shit, but in the UK it's legal, or am I completely off on that?
Yeah, that's pretty much the point. But I don't know how old he was when he did it. But technically over here it's legal, but it is something I'm certainly against. I believe if you're
weird.
20,
it's still weird. Yeah.
I believe if you're 20 plus, man, you should not be anywhere near a 16, 17-year-old girl.
I agree. I agree with that fully. And then people were like, yeah, like he, took advantage. Sorry, YouTube, whatever, like it was like a situation where people were drinking and stuff. And yeah, if someone's a teen, has teen in their name, and you're like older than 21, I don't know. In America, it's 21. In Canada, like when you're 18, 19, you can start going to bars and stuff like that. So I know like around the world, drinking is whatever. But even that, I don't know, man. If you're like 25, you shouldn't be on the hunt for like 18. That's my opinion.
Oh, absolutely not.
I know he's like blackballed. No, like is he not allowed to wrestle anywhere?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's been he's been blackballed by a few companies. Wasn't he supposed to be joining AEW at the start?
I thought so.
That's when it happened.
Yeah, I thought so. And then NWA as well. He did like a big thing where he showed up there and the crowd erupted, and then sort of COVID and that was going down. Then that stuff came out, like the speaking out thing, and then Marty Scurll sort of disappeared. So I know like NWA didn't want anything to do with him. AEW, I guess, distanced. I know he popped up in a picture with like Shinsuke Nakamura or something, or maybe not even Shinsuke. I'm so sorry if but it was like people from WWE were training jiu-jitsu with Marty Scurll, who was in a picture with like a bunch of people were in this picture, and he was in it. And this was like a few years ago, I think, a couple years ago. And then people were like, oh my God, they train with Marty. Like people were still going off on Marty Scurll. Yeah. So I don't know, but he's wrestling here and JBL fucking clotheslines him. So people are loving that on Twitter. They're like, yes, JBL's a babyface again. Is that Hammerstone? Oh, dope. That's Hammerstone. So this is a TNA talent right here. He crossed over, did an NXT match. Great talent, man. I fucking love Alex Hammerstone. Damn, did someone just yell, he's a pedo out of the crowd? Did you hear that?
You might have to replay it.
Damn, man. I might have to go back a bit. Did he yell that? That's crazy. Oh, he's our hero. Oh, wow. Dang, see, I'm looking out because they were like booing JBL for clotheslining Marty there. Like they're behind Marty. Yeah, they're behind Marty, man. So, but I see people who are like, anyone who employs him should be whatever. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on all that? And I guess just the whole Marty Scurll situation.
I don't think we should go to the point where he should be blackballed completely, because at the end of the day, what he did was legal. However, it was morally wrong, and it shouldn't be something you should do. Really, I mean, it's disgusting. I mean, just talking about it now, my face is cringing up because I don't know how someone of his age at that time could do something with a 16, 17-year-old girl.
Yeah,
No.
I feel it too. It's cringy, bro. It's fucking cringy. So I want to ask you, Crossman Wrestling, what are things you would change about, because everybody talks about how WWE is just like white hot, and I think they are, honestly. Like Raw was fucking cooking last night, or maybe 2 nights ago, Time Cop. But like, what would you change about WWE heading into this Netflix era? And I'm not talking like, oh, hopefully we get more gritty attitude era. Like, obviously everybody says that, but it's like, what would you change about WWE right now, going into the Netflix era in the new year?
So, if I'm trying to think about changes, I'm trying to think about what I do in my universe modes. But when I look at people in universe mode when I'm playing 2K24, I have a lack of interest because of the way people have been used over many, many years, and the way the lack of star power when it comes to certain people. I like Grayson Waller, but when I look at him, man, I don't have much interest, but I like him at the same time. So it's hard to tell what I could do with people, but one thing I would say is that you need to have a consistent storyline throughout each show, like what the Bloodline do. You'd have them at the start of the show, you'd have them throughout the middle, throughout the show, and then they'd more likely end the show because it keeps the viewer interested in the entire show rather than watching one segment and then skipping out, or doing what I did this morning and watch a couple of YouTube clips of Raw and think, right, okay, cool, I'm done for the day. So WWE really needs to generate more interest into their weekly shows, because have you seen the ratings for Raw and SmackDown recently? They're bad. I think Raw got 1.4, SmackDown got 1.4, and I get Raw, they're on 1.4 because they're going against the Monday Night American Football.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But SmackDown, they are not. So,
and like political shit, right?
Change.
There's like political shit and stuff right now. But yeah, SmackDown, I guess Meltzer was like, there was no other competition or whatever. So, yeah. But yeah, I know the ratings are down from the 2 million mark. Like, what's considered good anymore? That's what I don't even know.
Well, the ratings down one because Fox. Don't quote me on this because I don't live in America, but I believe Fox is free TV. USA, you have to pay for, I believe. So that's one thing. However, it shouldn't be 1.4. I mean, Raw would get 1.7, 1.8 last year. I don't understand why it's 1.4.
Do you think Triple H is doing well? Are you excited for this shit going to Netflix? How does it affect you in the UK? It all going to Netflix. In Canada, bro, I get everything on Netflix now.
Yes, I know.
January. You do too. So PLE, SmackDown, NXT, Raw, it's all just right there on Netflix. Love it. Like, I don't give a fuck about the TV ratings now, Like, I don't even watch that shit on TV anymore. So that's me personally. But so you're in the same boat as me, so that's good. Sorry, America. It's just Raw for them, and then like whatever little side quest shows they're gonna make. But I guess let's flip it on its ear. What change would you make to AEW going into 2025? What would Crossman do? You had control. Like, what change? What's the big thing you would do to, I guess, restore the feeling, as they like to say? What would be your game change?
That feeling that they want to restore will never be restored.
Never. It's like crack, baby. It's the first hit. It's the best. It never feels the same again.
Because AEW was a rebellious movement because of Vince McMahon. People couldn't stand Vince's WWE. Vince is gone. WWE is a lot better. And now there's like 600,000 people, 500,000 people that are still trying to be rebellious, but it's just not working anymore because there's nothing really to rebel against. I mean, WWE is a lot better than what it was 2 years ago. But the main thing I would put in place in AEW, and I said this, I think 2 years ago, was a brand split. And they had a chance to do that with Collision, but they went a soft brand split. and it didn't work out. I saw that they was going to bring in a second world championship with CM Punk, the real world championship they called it, and I think they was going to unify them. And I'm not sure, but I would have a brand split because of how many people they have. I would move Collision from Saturdays 100%. If I have to, I'll have to go up against TNA on Thursdays and try and generate some more interest that way, because at least then you know who's going to be on which show. And you also need to stop bringing in all these Japanese and lucha guys. Nobody fucking knows, nobody cares, nobody can pronounce their names. Why are you bringing these guys in? Like who is the Beast Mortos? Who is this guy? Who is Commander? Who are these people? What separates them from each other? So I don't have to sit there and say that they're all best lucha guys.
Brand split. I've been saying that too, but I don't know. Maybe this new show, it seems like Rampage is going away. What do you think about that? Rampage is going to be gone. Collision seems like it's sticking around. We have this new show, Shockwave, I guess, which might be a thing. And apparently they put the Ring of Honor world title on Jericho to try and garner interest in a Ring of Honor television deal. Do you see any of that panning out? And if you were Tony, would you even be focused on television deals, or would you go like, hey, let's just start uploading Ring of Honor to fucking YouTube?
I would start uploading Ring of Honor to YouTube. I think that would be the better way than, because how much is Honor Club? Is it close to $9.99 or something like that?
Yeah, I think it's like $10 or $20.
Yeah, why would anyone pay that to watch Ring of Honor?
I don't know, and it's terrible.
I certainly wouldn't. Ring of Honor is not worth that price, man. I mean, I can pay for everything on the WWE network, because I still have the network. I don't know about you. We still have WWE network. I can pay $99 and watch pay-per-views from 10 years ago that have more interest than today's Ring of Honor. Yeah. So Ring of Honor should definitely be free on YouTube 100%, which would generate more interest until they could find a TV deal. But I think AEW needs to release a lot of people, which is unfortunate. I don't want to see loads of people lose their jobs, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm sure they've made plenty of money from Tony. I'm sure they can find work elsewhere. People lose jobs. It's how the world works, man. Ring of Honor, they need to do something about that, because nobody cares about Ring of Honor anymore. I remember when I did something last year, something about Billie Starkz. I joked about her going for a chair, and I says something about a hot dog and a handshake, and people were coming up to me and saying, "Oh, she's living her dream. She's living her dream." And I said, "What? I'm Ring of Honor. I'm Ring of Honor. Who watches Ring of Honor? Nobody watches Ring of Honor. That's not a dream. I mean, you're wrestling in front of no one." And when does Ring of Honor? When do they do it? Is it before Dynamite or after Dynamite or Collision?
It just all depends. Sometimes they'll do it after. They'll do Dynamite and then tape Rampage and then Ring of Honor. Or sometimes it'll be Collision and then they'll tape some Ring of Honor. It all just depends. Like, I don't know how Tony lays it out in his mind, but yeah, it's there. I don't think there's any set way they do Ring of Honor, but yes, it takes place after either Collision or Dynamite.
Yeah, they definitely need to do something with Ring of Honor, man. I wouldn't say get rid of the show entirely, because you can't release that many people, man. They've got tons of people that really they what can they do with them apart from throw them on Ring of Honor or Collision? And who the fuck watches Collision? They really need to just. Tony needs to do something that's going to generate interest for people, man. And what he's doing right now is not doing that. When was the last time you watched Collision? Because every time I see clips from Collision, it's always random match, random match, random match, random match, random match. And you can do that with a show like, I don't know, say WWE Main Event or Heat or Velocity or whatever. You can do that with them CD shows where you're using them to like promote people you won't usually see to the audience. But Collision is supposed to be their B show, and you're not supposed to do things like that on Collision. Even Rampage, because Rampage started with a big CM Punk return debut, and they could have done so many things with Rampage, and they decided to just make it an exhibition show, and that's what's happening to Collision as well. How long until Dynamite becomes that way?
Dude, it's almost becoming that way. Like if Bobby Lashley and them didn't show up, they are telling stories. They're trying to do backstage stuff. They're trying to do, vignettes and stuff like that on Dynamite. You can tell. But yeah, they're on Collision. It does feel very random. They're trying to carry the storyline over, but they don't realize that no one's going to watch Collision. Like once Rampage goes away, Collision will just become Rampage, just an exhibition show. Yeah, they just have no identity. People want to say it's the alternative, but it's just all ex-WWE guys, and they use white ropes to try and like trick people. They took their logo off the canvas so that if you're scrolling channels, you go, oh, is this WWE? That's what they're doing, man. And when you get like that, it just feels reeky of desperation. Yeah, that's my assessment of it all. And I agree, man. Going into 2025, I really hope that they can like mix it up or shake it up or do something different. If it was me, I'd put the whole fucking company on hold for like 6 months to a year, and then I'd come back again and I don't know, try and figure it out. But overall, with the whole Neo Moxley Whitepool Combat Clan storyline they're choosing to tell, what are your thoughts on all of that storyline? And then basically the Hurt Syndicate's coming in. A lot of people think the Hurt Syndicate will thwart the Whitepool Club, but the AEW mole, there's a mole actually who I've been covering on my show. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but he's been like leaking all this AEW stuff, and it's been accurate, like 100%. Dude's batting average is like fucking insane, right? So he's been like right about all this stuff, and one of the things he's been saying is that it's actually the Young Bucks are going to be the saviors of AEW against the Whitepool Club or whatever. What are your thoughts on the whole like Neo Moxley gimmick? First off, in 2024, what are they going to do to pay this all off? Is it the Hurt Syndicate, so WWE guys come in and save your company, or is it the Bucks who just invaded the company and attacked the boss themselves? They're going to be the ones to save the company. They're sort of in a shitty situation, no?
Yeah, they are in a really bad situation. I don't understand why they've gone with this second AEW takeover angle in the same year. It's ridiculous. It's like they don't have any ideas whatsoever, and I have zero interest in it. Now, if what you're saying is true, because it's not just you I've heard saying this. I've recently been watching JD again and Jesse and their Dynamite reviews. They've said this, that it could be the Young Bucks, and it's looking like it's the Young Bucks that are going to save AEW, even though they was trying to take over AEW just a few months ago. Wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. If they go with that, they're done. They're really done, man. If they go with that, I don't know anyone who could be a good counter for John Moxley and the Blackpool Combat to stop them. I mean, Darby Allin, he's a small guy. Exactly that. He's a small guy. I don't see him being believable against John Moxley. Orange Cassidy, what's he supposed to do? Daniel Garcia, who's Daniel Garcia, man? I mean, what are they supposed to do? I don't understand. Obviously, I know who Daniel Garcia is. I'm just joking, but
yeah.
I don't understand what they're supposed to do. Who they're going to bring in to do this, apart from Bobby Lashley, who's a heel and who's an ex-WWE guy.
Yep. They fuck themselves, man. That's what I think, is they sort of book themselves into a corner, man. And I guess the last thing we'll leave off is this. How do you feel about Moxley and them being called the Blackpool Combat Club still?
I think it's stupid because there's no one from Blackpool there. I don't understand why they're still called that. I think they need a new group name because they've had an inclusions of Pac and what's her name, Marina
Shafir, yeah.
Yeah, they've had a couple of inclusions there, so I think they should come up with a new name. But even if they do come up with a new name, I really don't see it taking interest from people, man. I mean, the rating is steady at about 620 to 650 each week. I think this time last year they was in the 8s, wasn't they? They've dropped off hard, especially since that CM Punk footage that they had. That really turned a lot of people off. I think they're at the point now where no matter what they do, no matter how good they can get, they are dead. That's my opinion on AEW, man. That's why I don't talk about them anymore. You'll see on my channel the last sole video I made on AEW was about a month and a half ago, because I just don't care about them anymore, man. I really do not care. I don't care enough to hate on them. I don't care enough to cover them whatsoever. Even when Tony Khan says something stupid, man, I'll probably make it a little bit in the video, but it won't be the main topic of the video because I don't care enough.
Do you watch any AEW really at all? Like Bobby Lashley showing up there, you're not like, oh, let me check this out.
I did. I watched. I didn't watch the match between Swerve and Shelton. I just watched the end, the debut of Bobby Lashley, and I had 90 seconds. The referees being, was it the referees that were coming in shouting time cues?
Yeah, I don't know. Some producer shouted it, and then also the light went out, and then it turned back on, and then they show MVP, and his face is looking like, oh fuck, what just happened? And then the lights go out, and then Lashley debut, and then you hear 90 seconds, then Lashley debuts. It was fucking terrible. They botched it.
Yeah, it's no matter what they do, man. The AEW has always managed to fuck it up somehow every single time. Yeah, this big debut with Bobby Lashley. Yeah, this big debut with Bobby Lashley, and you can't get your lights to work properly, and your people are audibly giving time cues. Don't get it.
Oh man. Well, Crossman, I just appreciate you. I could talk to you all goddamn day, dude, and I appreciate you coming on this show again. We have to do this again soon. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Crossman Wrestling and Crossman.
Thank you.
Let the good folks know where they can follow you on X, and let them know about your YouTube channel and what you got cooking. And he's over here at Crossman6911 on YouTube, and he's got 1,000 subs. Make sure you go sub to him. But yeah, Crossman, plug your shit, dude.
Yeah, so you can find me at Crossman Wrestling on YouTube, as you can see it on the screen right there. I don't have a set schedule. I have one in my head, but I don't give it out because I know I can't stick to it. I always mess it up somehow every week. So I'll just make videos when I can. And I don't know if you want to follow me on X because I'm very political on there. But if you want to follow me on X, man, it's at @Crossman25. But if you are more left leaning into politics, man, don't follow me. You won't want to see what I post. You won't want to see what I post. It won't be for you.
Nope. You've been warned. Oh man. Guys, I am Phil Marks. Crossman is the best, and dude, you're welcome here anytime. And yeah,
thank you, bro.
Yes, no worries, man. YouTube.com/@prowrestletimes, YouTube.com/@prowrestleclips, and Patreon.com/@prowrestletimes. I just watched Tough Enough episode 2 with Alt Jake, and we're also watching all the Botchamanias. Hilarious to go back and watch that stuff. Crossman, again, you're the man. Open door policy for this guy. Make sure you go subscribe to his channel. We will see you all next time or in the Upside Down. Peace.